Hey folks, this is Fernando doing a quick video follow-up for more survivalists. In the previous video I showed how to use these Mylar bags. These are 11 inches by 13 inches, 7 mil thick Mylar bags. In general, you wouldn't need 7 mil thick Mylar bags, especially if you're going to be using it within some other containers, most likely like the 5-gallon buckets or some other plastic container that gives more protection to the package itself. Now these are going to be like almost like bricks standalone within one of those Rubbermaid containers, so I just went for something a little bit thicker. As you see, once it's properly sealed as shown in the previous video, and the oxygen absorber does its job. I think it was a 300 cc oxygen absorber. It looks pretty solid, and it even the lentils press against the Mylar bag. The Mylar bag is very tough. If you didn't try it before, try breaking one open, and even a little line in the seam like this it's very hard. Even, maybe you won't even be able to open it without the help of a knife. So it is indeed pretty tough, especially these 7 mil ones. So I guess it took, like, to get to this point of absorption of oxygen, I think it was like, I don't know, like 12 hours give or take, maybe a little bit more, and you're already seeing good results. This is what you want, even if there's a little bit of air in there. Remember, the oxygen absorber only absorbs oxygen, which is like 20% of air. So there is a little bit of air, but the oxygen is pretty much done. Key important things to keep in mind. At least in my case, I'm using smaller bags, smaller Mylar pouches. As you see here, lentils 2 kilograms. Why? Because for me at least it didn't make much sense to have bigger 5-gallon buckets full of rice or lentils, because it would have been more complicated, because I don't need 5-gallon buckets of lentils all at once. So it would have been, I would have had to open those up, empty half of it, then reseal it again. At least for me it was more convenient for the type of lifestyle and for the kind of family that I have. Maybe if you have more people in your family, then it makes sense to have some of the bigger containers. At least for me, it made sense to go with these type of pouches for the time being. Your situation may be completely different. I don't know, maybe if you're even a single person, maybe a smaller pouch would make sense for you. That's completely depending on your circumstances. Use oxygen absorbers, and if you're not so sure about how much you need, double it. If you're using just one 300 cc oxygen absorber and you have doubts if it's going to be getting the job done, put 2 in there. It's really not that much of a big deal, because those are probably the cheapest part of the long-term food storage process. Food's going to be expensive, the bags themselves are expensive. The oxygen absorber is probably the cheapest thing you're using here, so don't risk it. Store what you eat. As you know, lentils are one of my favorite foods. It's kind of a superfood on its own right. Has twice the protein of wheat. So and we actually like it, so we eat it. And that's pretty important, to eat what you store. So it really does make sense for us. Remember that the oxygen absorber part, it's depending entirely on how much oxygen is left. For example, if you're storing pasta and you have some of those that have weird shapes, those will hold more air in there, and it's kind of a waste of space compared to other pasta that don't have any cells or empty spaces within where air would be piling up. In that case, you may even have to triple the amount of oxygen absorbers. So be smart about that. Empty as much air as you can before sealing the bags. Put the oxygen absorber in there, remove as much air as you can from the bag, and then make the line as shown in the previous video. Make using a piece of wood, or what I've seen to be some of the best solutions would be the hair straightener. The hair straightener worked beautifully for making a nice seal there all across. Same thing here. So yeah, definitely the hair straightener is probably one of the best things. You know, a normal iron works as well, just using a piece of wood, a 2x4 or something like that, just pressing it against the bag. Remember to keep it straight, and then passing the hot iron across makes a nice seal as well. Actually, that's what we did here before using the hair straightener. Both work pretty well, and it makes for a nice clean seal. And that's pretty much it. These bags actually will last for a very long time, 10, 20 years even. There's really no telling how long these last, because in theory they are sealed within a metal lined bag with no oxygen on the inside, so there's no chance of anything, you know, living in there. So, and experiments from our people show that they have a very long shelf life. We're going to be eating this well before 10 years, no doubt, but it's just good to know that it has a pretty long shelf life. This combined with other food supplies, you know, lentils, rice, pasta, canned foods, canned vegetables, canned meats, those that will also last several years beyond the expiration date, makes for a great long-term food storage supply. Why is it important? Because you just never know when it is that something may go wrong, and you may end up having to dig into your food supply. Maybe natural disasters of any kind, as we see constantly all over. Right now in Philippines, they're having problems there, quite a bit of serious trouble. It may be something as simple as job loss and not having the income you usually have, and having to dig into your supplies so as to sustain your family. Lots of great reasons. One of the most important things to have is food for yourself, for your family, in case anything happens. Guys, as always, remember to subscribe. Take care. Have a great day. See you on our next video.